Well, Dave, it's great being here with you at your office this morning and coming to work with you early.
Thanks for being here.
So you've been up and going strong, huh?
Yeah, we've been up for a few hours already.
Right.
Yes.
So you said you stopped here in the morning with your plan. Tell me about that.
Every day I stop here and I take a look. This is, did I do my job yesterday? Did I get my contacts in for the day? And then I take a look at whether I...
No, wait just a moment. So you moved this over because you did do your job yesterday?
Correct.
Perfect, okay.
And then I say, well, yesterday I did not go on any listing appointments. I could move that, or listing appointments or listing taken.
So if you would have taken a listing, you would have moved that over?
That's correct.
And if you'd have had a buyer sale?
Well, actually, this is my buyer sale goal for the year. The blue dots represent the buyer sales so far and the listings that have sold so far this year. These are my pendings, what's in escrow right now, and these are my active listings.
Okay, so let me make certain that I understand this correctly. What are the yellow ones?
The yellow ones are short sales.
Oh, good for you. The red ones are?
Listings.
And the blue ones?
Buyers.
So at any given time, you know how many listings you've taken, how many listings you've actually closed, because
yes,
these are the closed ones up here?
And what I do is when I take a listing, if I go on a listing appointment, I take this button over and move it over here. Last month you can see I was gone a lot, so I've got some making up to do, because these are the listing appointment goals for each month. And these are the buyer control sales, and this is the recruiting one agent each month.
Good for you. So you have your goals right here, very easy to spot and to know if you're ahead of the goal, behind the goal, and what happens mentally when you see you're behind.
So this has got to be a big month, because
Yes.
last month I was gone a lot, and so this has got to be a big month where we're really gearing it up to go on a lot of appointments this month.
Okay, and so what do you do to gear yourself up?
I up my prospecting. I change my. I work on my mindset. You know, which is the most important thing in my opinion.
Okay, so how do you work on your mindset?
I make sure like this morning, I typically get up 4:30. I look at my yearly goal at home. I look at my 5-year plan. I've done my reading. I've done my meditations. I've done some affirmations at home. I've done some exercising. I got my children up, had breakfast with them, and got here to work.
Okay, so we stop here, we look at this, we move everything we need to move that happened yesterday.
Right.
And now what do we do?
I'll have a brief 5-minute meeting with my assistant, just kind of a little debriefing, what do we got to do today, and then I just go to work.
And you go to work. Let's go to work.
All right.
Okay, great. Okay, so here we are in your office. I love the way that you've got this set up. Now, to not get you off your routine, what would you do the minute you walked in right now?
Typically what I'll do is, I put my headset on, my working, and I get ready, and I keep these brief affirmations, and I say this every day. I, Dave Norberg, am a big thinker. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. I am powerful. I always believe in me. I set 1 hot listing appointments every day. I am mentally tough. I'm a wise investor. I spend time with people who believe in me, like you.
Absolutely, I believe in you, David. You know, you were coached at one time by Tony, I know.
Right.
And on that one that says, I save money monthly, boy, I know that because your goal was to save, what, $10,000 a month?
It was actually to save $300,000 for the year, which equated to $6,000 a week.
A week.
And when Tony would call, the first question he always asked, that little bugger, was, did you write the check? And I knew what he meant by that. Did you write the check to save the money for the year? And, we didn't quite hit $300,000, but we were pretty close.
Good for you. Do you think that accountability, though, helped you with knowing you had to write that check every week to yourself?
Right. That was the best part. I didn't have to send it to Tony or anything. I was writing it to myself. So
Fantastic. So, David, I know that your screen is already up and ready to go, and it wasn't that way last night, obviously.
No, my assistant has been here this morning and has put up the screens that I need to do my prospecting. She knows that I have my top producer up. I have my expireds, my for sale by owners here all ready to go. Has the multiple listing in case I need to refer to that quickly. Everything's right here at my fingertips whenever you go.
And you normally get to the office at what time?
7:45.
7:45. Good for you. And you start your prospecting then at
8 o'clock.
8 a.m.
Right.
and you prospect for how many hours?
3 hours usually at least, and sometimes longer.
Sometimes longer. So is your goal to hit so many people per day or so many appointments per day?
My top priority is to set an appointment every day, but I have a minimum standard of 30 contacts every day.
30 contacts. Now, I love the word standard because in real estate, that's not a word you hear a lot of. So when it's a standard, you have a standard for yourself to contact 30 people per day. How long does that take you?
3 hours. You know, my average is right at 10 contacts per hour, and that includes calling for sale by owners expireds, which usually are less per hour, calling past clients, centers of influence, and until when you tie it all together, it adds up to about 10 contacts per hour.
So Dave, how do you keep track of the number of people you contact?
Okay. Well, what I have is a little sheet here, and each day I have at the top. I set one appointment every day, and so today is Wednesday. We're going to start at 8 o'clock, and the contact goal is to make 30 contacts. I've already completed my role play earlier today on the phone, and again, the goal is to set one appointment. If I talk to someone, I just put an X or a line through it. If I set an appointment, I just circle it. So it's pretty simple.
Okay. So one of the things I'm curious about is if you leave a message, do you count that as a contact?
No, never. A contact is an actual contact with a decision maker. So if you get one of the kids, that doesn't count. However, if you contact someone and they say, I hate realtors, and they hang up on you, that is a contact. That doesn't hardly ever happen. But so you have to have a contact with a decision-making adult.
Excellent. Now, I noticed that you said you completed your role play. Was that done by phone? And if so, do you do that every day and with whom?
I've been doing this is my 19th year, and I have had a role play partner virtually every day for 18 plus years. And I always switch them off. So I have a different role play partners, and I do that, yes, by phone, because that's what we're doing here is by phone every day. We play this game sometimes, and it's like this, Diana. Don't set an appointment with me. Whatever you do, don't set an appointment with me. And then they're doing whatever they can to make sure that they don't set an appointment. But they usually give up. So if we can keep them on the phone, they lose.
So they lose. So you get them going, and it helps get you better to where you can handle those tough objections on the phone.
Correct.
So let's look at this. Tell me about your scripts.
If I'm calling expireds, I have the expired script right here. If I'm going to call some for sale by owners, I have the for sale by owners script. If I set an appointment, I can quickly turn to the pre-qualifying script, or actually what I will do is I have the sheet here, and I just grab one and I ask them the pre-qualifying questions.
And so you do that while they're on the phone, maybe a for sale by owner that
Right.
just set an appointment with you. You grab the pre-qualifying questions for the listing, and you go through those to make certain that you're prepared when you go on the listing appointment.
That I'm prepared, and to make sure that in today's market, you don't want to go on every appointment because there are some people that just can't sell in this market.
So it's not that you won't go on the appointment. You said a key word here. They'll do what?
Whatever's necessary to get the home sold. And so yes, we are dealing in a few short sales. That's not our favorite thing to do, but we have some past clients or referrals where we will handle a few short sales.
Okay, good. So we have the scripts here. Now, I like this. Where do you just get this at an office supply store?
Ultimate Office is where I got it from.
Do you have a set number of times that you want a phone to ring?
3, 4 at the most.
3 or 4 at the most. And the reason for that?
Well, 2 reasons. First of all, if you let it ring 20 times, you're not going to make many contacts in the course of the day. If you actually did let it ring 20 times and somebody actually answered, they're probably not real happy that it's going to be a real estate agent that's on the other end. And so 3 times next, 3 times next.
Okay, excellent. So with that in mind, what did you keep saying to yourself to keep going? I mean, do you have days that happens for maybe an hour at a time?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have understood that this is my job. And, you know, I've had jobs in the past where I had things to do that I didn't like doing, but it was my job, and this is my job. And so I still get paid a couple $1,000s an hour for doing this job right here, regardless of how many people answer and how many don't.
Okay, so you just said you get paid a couple of $1,000s, which means that you know your numbers. What numbers do you track?
I keep track of how many people I talk to every day. I keep track of how many appointments I go on and how many listings I take, and then how many buyers and sellers that we close every year.
So based on those numbers, do you figure out how many people you're going to contact to a listing? Do you know that number?
Yes, it's 54.
54 people that you contact, that you actually get a listing.
Right.
Now, is that take the listing or the listing sells?
Take the listing.
Take the listing.
Right.
And so what number would it be to get it sold, to a listing sold?
Well, right now we're selling about 70% of our listings.
Okay, excellent. So in essence, you're tracking each and every number and running this like a business.
Right, right. I mean, you have to.
Yeah. Why is it important to run it like a business?
Well, if you don't run it like a business, you're not going to get the results that you can. And it's such a simple business, really, when you get down to it. You do this for 3 hours a day, leaves 21 hours a day to do whatever else you want to do.
So why do you think people complicate it?
Well, I think there's several reasons. Sometimes people don't believe that it could be this simple, and so they complicate it, trying to justify their commissions. Sometimes their ego gets in the way. I always tell people you got to stay stupid, you know, and keep doing the same thing over and over again. And sometimes we get too smart, and then we try to complicate things, and it doesn't have to be that way.
So Dave, I've noticed in the 3 hours that we've spent together that you don't leave messages. Is there a reason?
Yeah, I mean, I will for past clients or center of influence, but for expired or for sale by owners, I think it's a waste of time. They're not going to call back anyway, typically, and so the time that it takes to leave a message, I would rather be trying to find someone else that's there.
Perfect. Now, earlier today we talked about the $6,000 that you put into savings each and every week. Why were you so adamant about $6,000?
Well, I made a statement to Tony that I was going to save $300,000 in December. I told him next year I'm going to save $300,000, and he said, "Well, that equates to about $6,000 a week. So what day next week are you going to write your first $6,000 check?"
But why was it important to get $300,000 in savings?
Well, I had the good fortune of going broke once in my life, and to have that security and that meant a lot to me at that time. And so it was a big push. It meant a lot to me, and it was what got me up in the morning.
Okay, good. Now I know some of your past, and you're the type of person that's grateful for everything. I'd love for you to share some of that past with the people, whatever you're comfortable with, because it's such a great story and shows that people can go from here to here. Would you mind sharing that with us?
No, not at all. Because I believe that the good Lord had me go through what I went through so that I could help other people. And, you know, like I said, I had the good fortune of going broke. There was a period of time where I lived in my car in the winter in Minnesota, and it wasn't my car.
Ouch.
And, you know, when I came to California, it was $80 for a one-way airplane ticket to get here, and I didn't have it. And so it brings you down to be, when you recover and you it's easy to be grateful for everything that you have. And I have a great wife, great family, and very supportive, and so that makes it easy.
Well, I know your kids are outstanding as well as your wife. Let me ask you this, though. When you went through that, how come you didn't go into victim?
You know, I actually wasted probably 4 years of my life being a victim, and then I just said, I can't stay a victim the rest of my life. And so something's got to change. And it was a struggle, but well worth it, that's for sure.
And you're grateful for those times.
Oh, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's made me the person I am today, which is, I wouldn't be where I am today if it hadn't happened.
Okay, so what would you tell the audience today that are struggling, that are thinking about getting out of real estate?
I would tell everybody the same thing, even if you're having a bunch of success, or if you're really struggling, or you're way at the bottom, don't give up. No matter what you do, don't give up. And if you're at a certain level, give up one step higher. You know, don't quit where you are. Just thrive to go one step higher, because it's easier to thrive to get one step higher than it is to stay where you are.
Great. Now you have pictures of your family
Yes.
here in your office
All the
throughout.
time.
And do they help motivate you?
Well, you know, every day when I come to the office, I'm not 100% excited about doing my job that day. And so on the days when I don't feel like it, I just look over at the wall and look at my family and say, remember, that's why we're doing it today, for them.
And was that part of that $300,000?
Yes, to set them up for their education and those types of things for the future.
Good for you.
Thanks.
So you've been through a lot in your life and you want to share with others, which means that you're a real contributor. Now I've known you and Kim for years, and you come from contribution. Why is it important to come from contribution when you're making phone calls?
Well, because you're really there to help people. You're not there, you're not doing it for me, I'm there trying to help you. And you know, the book Think and Grow Rich says you can get anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And it can be as easy as start helping a for sale by owner sell their home. So if you just help enough other people, you'll get what you want.
Excellent. Now you've had a coach for many years.
Yes.
Will you ever be without one?
I've had a coach for many, many years. I was a coach for a number of years, and I think I'll always have a coach. I mean, I have 4 different coaches right now, and so it's for different areas of my life, and so that's helpful.
Yeah, so you definitely believe in that.
Oh yes, for sure.
Good. Okay, so you have 4 coaches in your life. That keeps you pretty disciplined.
Yes.
Yeah, so how did you start to become a disciplined person?
By milking the cows every morning when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But seriously, discipline is nothing more than picking little things and working on it on a regular basis. You know, finances used to be a weak part of my life. Now it's my strength, because I took the discipline and created it. And I heard this the other day, that discipline, I always like the results. Because if you create some discipline, the habit of creating the discipline is not nearly as painful as the rewards you'll get from being disciplined.
Absolutely. And Jim Rohn says that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons.
Yes, yes.
So that's definitely true. Well, the disciplines, what would you say to our audience about developing a discipline?
You know, if you wanted to create the discipline of lead generation on a daily basis, don't think about the big picture. Just think about the day. Like I always say, well, you know, if you're going to prospect 200 days out of the year, don't think about the 200. Think, okay, well, this month I need to do 18 days. And then once you decide that, then don't even think about the 18. Think, this week I need to do 4 days. And then don't think about that. Say, okay, today I just need to do it for 3 hours. And then say, okay, 3 hours. Then don't think about that. I just need to do it from 8 to 9, and then from 9 to 10. And just take it little pieces at a time, and little bite-sized pieces, and it becomes very easy.
Which you've always said, keep it simple.
Yes, yes.
That takes us right back. Now, you don't have a team.
No, it's my wife and I, and we have one assistant.
Good for you. Does your wife show property with you?
No. She negotiates all the contracts, kind of manages the listings, and my job is to get listings and go on appointments.
Good for you. And you had how many transactions last year?
70.
70 transactions, and you didn't
Did-
work a weekend, I know.
No, and worked one night. And
One night?
One night.
Okay.
But this year, I made a promise to my family that that we will do I'm going to have 102 listings sell, and then there'll be some buyers along the way. But I promised them, we didn't set a goal, I made a promise to them this year, doing something different. And because I've never made $1 million yet until this year. This is going to be the first year where we go over $1 million of income.
And that's awesome to be a single agent doing $1 million. And I noticed the word promise, that we'll do more because we promise something rather than to sign a contract or anything else.
Right.
So good for you. Now with that team, okay, you've got an assistant and your wife who helps with contracts and negotiations. You do everything. How do you get a person to only meet with you during the day?
Ask. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you just ask, people will do most anything that you ask them to do if you just ask them.
Mm-hmm.
And and you don't just say, ask them for 2 o'clock. You always give them an option, 2 o'clock one day or 4 o'clock another day.
So you're home in the evening with your family every night.
Yes.
And on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do 102 transactions by yourself. Why do you think that's possible?
Because I believe it is the main reason. And I know the main reason that's going to happen is because of the discipline to do this job 3 hours a day, 18 days a month.
Okay, so how important is mindset?
It's imperative. That's why I will spend 2 to 3 hours working on my mindset before I show up for work every day.
Good.